they're looking for like a wine bar with music that's really chill, that doesn't stay open too late, that people can go to before they go out. That's Walkable.
Yeah.
I'd love to do something like that, or at least partner in something like that.
Places that do really well, we have Abbot Kinney, right?
Yeah.
Like Abbot Kinney, Silver Lake,
Silver Lake,
Sunset Boulevard.
super popular.
Yeah. There are a lot of clients that want that. They want the walk-in traffic.
Like, what are we looking at cost-wise for a property that could handle that kind of thing?
I mean, it totally depends, right? Like if you're going from like, you could be anywhere from like $5-6 a square foot upwards.
And when you say 5-6 a foot, you're talking about like when you lease a property month to month, that would be $6 per foot per month. 1,000 feet at $6,000.
$6,000.
And what does that cover?
And that basically just covers your rent. Then you have your triple net charges. There was a property that I was working on just recently, and for that property, they were asking for like $1.85, for the triple net. So if you round it off to $2 a square foot, for $1,000, that's an additional $2,000. So now your monthly expense is not $6,000, but it's $8,000.
This is a lot of money, because then you got to think about hiring people, your cost of food, marketing, hiring a social media person, or if you're going to do all that, great. But even if you were to do all that, it's still a high overhead.
It is.
So what are people doing who are foodies wanting to start their own place? How are they entering? Where do you see people coming who are just grassroots? Are they selling to their neighbors and friends? Or are they using someone else's space and doing maybe a ghost kitchen situation? Like, what's the entry level for someone who's passionate? Let's say, if you like to make cupcakes and you're really excellent at it and everyone wants you to start a cupcake business, getting into the business and paying $8,000 a month for a retail location may not be feasible, especially for someone who's working like a 9-to-5 job, getting paid, X amount per hour. They might not be able to have the saved up money or the monthly nut to be able to cover that cost. What are you seeing these innovators doing? Is there a place for innovators right now?
Yes. And kind of like what we had spoken about earlier too, there's a lot of pop-ups that you see, and that's a great way to kind of like go about it and see, if that works for you, and what that, what those numbers look like and how many people are into it. And then again, when you have a pop-up that's really, really successful, you have a lot of different people coming and doing the social media aspect for you.
Right.
If it catches on, it's just that your clientele essentially is your marketing.
And that's really the future of any business, is how do you minimize your amount of inputs that you have, the amount of overhead that you have. And if you could have other people doing social media for you and posting at your pop-ups, that just takes a little bit more off your plate. So I think we're in the age of AI, we're in the age of efficiencies, and the more that's accessible to everyone, the more people will use it. So if you're the ones using AI, using these efficiencies, thinking strategically about your business, those are going to be the winners of our generation.
No, it's very, again, for like restaurants, it's intensive unless you're kind of like in the franchisee business, right? Because you have those opportunities to start a franchise. But then again, any of this stuff, it's a full-time endeavor. Also, the advantage now, the benefit that people have now is the ghost kitchens, that are available. I had one of the ghost kitchens that I'd gone to. I'm forgetting the name of the brand, but it was Lebanese style, kebab kind of place. They have a brick and mortar store in downtown LA, as opposed to having like your own restaurant and stuff. This is already set up, becomes a little bit easier. Most ghost kitchens have their own platform that, you can advertise on. They charge you a little bit of money for that, but, at least it's available and more accessible.
Right.
So if someone wanted to go in and see how things would work out, you have that opportunity without committing to like a 5-year lease.
Sure.
You could sign for like a shorter term,
If you have any questions about restaurant or retail spaces for rent, if you have any business questions, you're an entrepreneur, you want to get creative, just reach out to Prakash. He's going to be a great resource for you, and he's going to help you out.
No, absolutely. And then, one more thing to add on that front, we are realtors. We're obviously, this is how both of us make money and make a living. But when we have clients that come our way, I mean, ultimately our client success is our success. So if kind of someone comes in and they want to start off, I had a client that was looking for restaurants, and, it's really interesting on that front because, the first question that I normally ask is, what's your budget? And, a lot of times you hear we don't have a budget. And then all of a sudden you start kind of like narrowing it down. I sent them a restaurant that was $15,000, and all of a sudden the true number came out of them. They're like, our number's $8,000. We're like, okay. And that helps me kind of like narrow things down. It went from wanting a 3,000 square foot restaurant to a 1,500 square foot, because now you have to make those numbers work.
Sure.
Ultimately, I ended up showing them a ghost kitchen, and the ghost kitchen is 200, maybe 250 square feet. But if that's the way that the business has to go, our goal ultimately is to see our clients be successful.
Right.
And it's a long-term play for us. So once they are successful, if that works for them and they are able to build their clientele, guess what? They're going to be looking for their own restaurant space, and that's where we come in.
Right, exactly.
So,
We're like your team, essentially.
Absolutely.
Helping. Not, I mean, it's always nice too to have an extra brain, an extra set of eyes to review something, a different way to think about your business, think about things.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's awesome. Thanks so much. Most fashionable realtor in LA.
That makes two of us, I guess.